Today, we are joined by Shruti Rai for Meet the Entrepreneur series. Shruti is the Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at Novus, which is the new sustainable banking app. So, Shruti, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. Great to be here.
I mean, to set up a fintech company, well, in itself is challenging, but let alone, at the start of the pandemic or throughout the pandemic. I mean, that must have been exceptionally challenging for you and the team. Has the pandemic affected you in any way?
Yeah, it's kind of been there. I do miss because we have been in the office a few times since things have started to reopen. And when you are in the office, you realize how much faster it can make the small conversations that you can have on the side table can make things move a lot faster, that you have to kind of write it down on a text and wait for somebody to respond. So those kind of micro conversations are the part I would say that is a bit annoying about having to work remotely, because you have to write everything down. But because all of us are kind of a remote first preference, it's not been that bad in terms of communicating with each other and moving things forward. So as a company also, we are built with a remote first model. So we will have an office in London, but it's only if you want to come into the office for a team get together or a team meeting or something like that. But yeah, fintech in the UK, I think it's a bit different from building a fintech in some of the other parts of the world. I feel the regulatory environment in the UK is a lot more friendlier for us to make it happen. But I in my experience of working in some other countries, it would have been a lot more challenging to get anything off the ground. So that way UK has been a good market for us. And that's the reason we chose UK as well for our launch market.
The finance industry doesn't seem to be that big on sustainability. How is Novus challenging that notion?
Yeah, so for whatever reason, why sustainability was in the back burner for most financial services, I think it was primarily because consumers weren't asking questions about what happens when I deposit my money with my bank. Like, it's not just sitting in there. They are using your money to fund different projects and make money. But now with a growing sort of growing awareness, first of all, that we need to do something about climate change. Now people have started asking questions that how can I help as an individual, but also how can I demand more from the institutions that I work with? And financial services is kind of in the center of every business, every individual out there. So now it has become more of a conversation, luckily for us, but also even if you talk about any business, everybody's talking about how they can go carbon neutral. And in order to go carbon neutral, they have to find a company that can help them go carbon neutral. And a lot of these are big in financial services. So it's kind of compulsory that we will have to start thinking about it. But until now, I think we were all enjoying the ignorance from the consumer standpoint of not being able to ask those questions because they weren't made aware in the first place that how we used your money. So there was no transparency.
Do you think the recent COP26 in Glasgow has had any sort of major impact on this?
I think it has become more of a mainstream conversation now in terms of the developments that were happening in the space. Again, like from the government standpoint, there's now a more clearer agenda than it was before on how you can finance, for example, greener projects more easily compared to what it was before. Even as, for example, if I wanted to install a solar panel or better heating resistant equipment in my house, I could do that and get a grant from the government. So I think there's more of that and more government focused initiatives that have come out at the back of COP26. But if you remove the government stuff, there has been things happening in the fintech space over the last year, really. More at the back of the pandemic than back of COP26. But COP26 has helped us to kind of talk to any day-to-day consumer now and be able to have that conversation with them and tell them the value of investing money in more greener ways.